You're going to be under arrest.
For what?
For not listening to me.
I think the emergency is the video, somebody's videotaping.
Okay. And the shirt says, I believe, balls deep. He says his name is Captain Awesome.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Rogue Nation here with you, and we're bringing you a video that we cobbled together out of a whole bunch of videos on John M. Phillips' YouTube webpage. You guys have seen me share stuff from Mr. Phillips before. He is a lawyer. These are some of the depositions and cases that he's involved with. He's an excellent lawyer, from what we can tell, and if you ever need help, look him up, especially in the Florida area. But today we have an exclusive look, thanks to him, into a JSO investigation where they're investigating themselves for constitutional right violations. So we're going to get a rare, hard to see look behind the scenes in what goes into these investigations, how they flesh out these answers, and how they get to the truth of the matter. So without much more delay, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I hope you folks enjoy. Let me know down in the comments section, guys, what do you think about this investigation that was performed? And we'll catch you on the next one, guys, because there's always going to be a next one.
I just have to see that chair over there for me. So again, Officer Mitchell, I'm obviously. I've called you in here to talk to me about a case I'm investigating involving the gang unit. My understanding was you were attached to the gang unit for a little bit. I kind of want to go through that real quick with you and just ask you a few questions. So basically, the investigation I've got, there's a news article a few weeks ago that's where this sparked from. The gang unit was brought up in some text chain messages, stuff like that. Particularly in the investigation I'm doing, the key part of this thing for me was there was some mention that the gang unit basically violates people's rights on a regular basis, and we want to address that. That's our concern from the integrity perspective of it. So you were in the gang unit.
Yes.
Do you remember roughly when or what time frames it was?
It wasn't long.
About how long were you in there for? A couple months?
Yeah, maybe 3 months or so.
Was it this year, last year? Do you remember? It's me. My phone's blowing up. I'm sorry. What was it? What year was it? Do you remember when it was?
This is 2020. 2020. No, I might be on the streets.
I can look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, you were there just for a short stint.
Yeah.
Do you remember who all was in the gang unit with you at that point? I've got a list here. That might help because I know there's a lot of people that have been there.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Pookie, Lim Johnson.
All right.
Ernest, Matt Boland, Yorton, Matt Lott. I don't know.
I think it's probably all newer ones. I think on the back there.
Yeah.
Okay, so roughly those people. So while you were in there, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear of any actions by any members of the gang unit that were violating constitutional rights during the time frame you were in there?
No.
Did you ever see that?
I didn't.
Okay. Do you ever feel like you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then finally here, was there ever any order or unwritten rule to target a particular group or individuals based on anything other than their potential gang affiliations?
No.
Okay. So back to this question here, you feel that you were ordered to do things that you felt were unconstitutional?
Yes.
Okay. As far like, did you follow those orders or did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just tell you more, but maybe you might not want to know because it's not part of your investigation.
Well, I want to know. When I say unconstitutional, I'm referring to, and I don't know what you're going to tell me here. And I don't want to go the wrong direction with it. My God, this phone is blowing up. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second. What I'm referring to specifically is going out there and in your daily activities. Are you targeting people that you feel like you shouldn't be, like for in the aspect of violating their rights?
No, it wasn't out there. It was in the office.
Okay, so internal stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm specifically asking on this is, as the gang unit as a whole, when you go out to take action, were you going and violate people's rights as a unit, or were you ever told that you're going to go do this, you go get that person right there, and you feel like it's wrong?
No.
Now, I understand there's some policy stuff going on where there's some stuff internally where there were some issues with supervision, that kind of stuff. In the unit.
It wasn't supervision.
Okay.
It was being told to do something that wasn't right.
Okay. Right from a policy standpoint, or right from a criminal aspect?
Both.
Okay.
See, I told you let me talk to you.
Well, I want it's a formal interview, and I want to make sure we do it the right way. So,
Okay.
I'm just trying to think out what the best way to proceed with it is. I don't want you to like do something that's going to incriminate yourself on it, but I want to make sure that
I'm not.
Right. Okay. Typically, I would go through your rights with you at this point, just to make sure that you know that you don't have to talk about anything if there is something there. So.
Okay, then you got to do all that. Then I'm done.
Okay.
Because I'm not. I don't know, and I don't want to.
That's my concern. Is I'm not sure if what you're going to tell me is something that an action you took that you felt was wrong.
Yes.
And you feel that way.
Yes. And it was.
I want to hear what that is. But I want to read you your rights before I say that, because there's a possibility you may incriminate. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like, I don't want you to tell me something that's going to get you in trouble without you understanding at least I've read the rights to you. So.
Okay, so then I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. So now, who do I need to talk to about that? Since I already said something like that.
You haven't told me anything to me that's incriminating for you at this point.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hang on, I got my boss is attending for something else real quick. Just stay by for 1 second.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cause I didn't like being up closed up.
Hey, just hang tight one time. I'll leave the door open just for 1 second.
We're backed up, so just stay in your car. We'll come get you. You're fine. There's too many people. It's okay. No, just stay right here. I'll probably get 1 second. Oh, okay, I didn't know if you were still in there.
Yeah.
'Cause I saw that. I didn't see you in the thing.
Yeah, I can't. I'm ready to go.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Just have a seat. He'll be with you in a second.
Well, no, I'm not gonna have a seat. You told me to stand right here.
Oh, okay. Fine.
All right, sorry about that. Alright. We got like 10 things going on. It's just blowing up. I'm sorry. Alright. So back to this. My concern obviously is that there's some issues, and I understand there's a lot going on in that unit. I am going to. I'm gonna go through this form real quick, and I want you. If you don't want to talk to me, tell me that. But I'm gonna go through the form like I would any other time. Okay.
Okay. I don't. So you ain't got to do it.
I understand
because
that.
I don't know. I wish I never came. Because I just feel some type of way now, and I don't want to feel like that when this is not even about me.
Okay. Well, I'm still going to go on the record and read you your rights because I've been conducting a criminal investigation. You can tell me you don't talk to me, but I'm going to go through this form real quick.
So let me ask you this. So who would I talk to?
About what?
About, I don't know.
Sylvia, I don't know what you're going to tell me. Because I don't know that, I'm taking the precaution to go through this form and make sure that you know that you're right.
All right.
So let's do that first, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before you make a statement, before any questions are asked of you, and have a lawyer with you during your questioning. If you can't afford to hire a lawyer, will be appointed for you before any question if you wish. If you do answer questions without a lawyer present, you'll still have the right to stop answering questions anytime you consult a lawyer. So if you understand that, let me just get you to sign that. So again, my question to you was, do you feel like you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take enforcement action you said was unconstitutional? You told me yes. Okay. If you took actions, I'm curious what those are, but you don't have to tell me those things if you don't want to talk to me. You told me you don't want to talk about it, but I'm trying to understand what happened with it. I can't know what you're going to tell me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If I...
Tell me what you want me to do. Because you called me here for your investigation. Whatever I need to do, right. I do.
I called you here because my investigation is to determine if you or any of the members of the gang unit took any action that was unconstitutional. That we arrested people for the wrong reasons, that we did things that weren't legal.
Can I comment?
Yeah, you can say anything you want.
If policy states one thing and I was told to do something else, is that something you want to know?
So policy and criminal action are going to be different.
Okay.
That's administrative, where what I'm looking into is criminal. So if I tell you to go out there and shoot somebody and you go do it, that would be criminal.
Right.
If I tell you to go home, it's 12 o'clock and you work till 7 o'clock, that could be possibly administrative, depending on what it is. So if you followed a rule that wasn't right, it could be a rule versus a crime.
Okay.
That's the difference. That's what I was trying. That's why that went a different. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Did you misunderstand that a minute ago?
I did.
Okay. So I'm asking you, did anything ever happen in that unit that you felt was criminal? That you felt like you arrested people for no reason, you did things that would be illegal to where we would arrest an officer for?
No, I didn't do any of that.
Okay, that's what you said yes to. That was my concern.
Oh, okay. Okay,
but so you may have been given orders that you felt weren't right.
No, they weren't right. Not that I felt. They weren't right.
Okay. Do you want to give me an example of like what that would be, or?
I can't give you an example. I can just tell you what it was.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I think that's going to be more of a policy issue than a criminal issue.
We
So,
good.
okay.
We good.
Okay. I'm sorry I got off on a rocky foot. But you understand my concern now?
Yeah, I wanted to take you to outside.
Well, I wanted to be in here when we talk because that's how we do things. Okay. I didn't want it to go off the record. I wanted to be on the record. Now my concern is that we're not doing things that are crazy as a unit. We're doing things that maybe, again, the way things work over there, it'd be like the way you write a report right now. Do an FIR. No, I'm going to do an information report. Or I'm going to do this and that. No, you can do it this way. You feel like it's wrong, but it's not criminal.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying with this here?
Is it's stated in here. So I got kind of salty with it, and I asked to be moved.
So that particular that's the only instance you're talking about, is that one thing with the gang. But you took the action you thought that you had to because he was the supervisor at that point. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you didn't feel like you were committing a crime.
Oh, no. I didn't feel like I was
That's the difference of what I was asking. That's why I read you your rights, because I was concerned you were going to tell me something that was going to be criminal.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, wait a minute, that changes direction for me, because that could go a different route. So, sorry for the confusion on that. I want to make sure you understand what I was asking. And I was surprised to hear that. I was like, wait a minute, because I had a feeling there may have been some policy issues that you were concerned with, but I didn't think it was going to be that. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Where we're at? All right, I think we're good here. Just hang tight 1 second, and I'll be right back.
Thank you. Yep. Wait, don't close it.
I'm not sure all the way. You're good.
Good. I don't like being in this little closed up room anyway.
Yep. Walk in here. All right, Detective.
Where do I sit?
Just have a seat that chair, sir.
Yes, sir.
Detective Smith, right?
Yes, sir.
This thing. Ben's popped apart a couple times on me. So you know what we do over here in this unit. Basically, our role is investigating the criminal acts by employees that are assigned to the sheriff's office, also city employees. That's kind of our main role. I've got an investigation that's come up in the last few weeks involving the gang unit, which you're currently assigned to, is my understanding.
That's correct.
In summary, just there's been a couple articles. I don't know if you've seen these or heard about them, but there's been some articles in the paper, news channels that put out this information about the gang unit. My main concern at this point is there's some mention in here that the gang unit's basically been targeting people and violating their rights, going after them and violating their constitutional rights. So that's kind of what my focus is on what I'm asking about right now, just so you understand where I'm coming from. How long have you been in the gang unit?
Since about April of this year.
22 until the present. And then I'm assuming since you've been there, it's probably a shorter list. This is a list I've compiled of who I know has been in the gang unit. Can you put a check mark by everybody that you've worked with in there? And as far as detectives go, is there anybody additional that you can think of that's not there on the list that I missed? Okay. And then as a detective in there, who's your supervisor been since you've been there?
Just Doug, and now currently Detective Daly.
Okay. No other sergeants, so just how?
Yes,
okay. So here's a series of questions I had kind of in reference to what I mentioned earlier. Did you ever witness, participate in, or hear of any actions of any members of the gang unit that would have violated anybody's personal constitutional rights while you've been there?
No.
Do you feel any time you ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any order or kind of unwritten law in the unit to target a particular group of individuals based on anything other than the potential gang affiliations?
No.
Okay. That kind of summarizes my questions here. Is there anything else about that you think would help me in my investigation?
Not at all.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming down. All right, so if you would just step in this room, please.
Sure.
All right, Sarge. So I'll just you know that. Today is November 15th. It is 12:42. So, Sergeant Oakley, I'm here to talk to you about a case I'm investigating. Recently, we were notified of an incident, or made aware of a report made to the local news outlets. In that article, there was some information that indicated there's possibly some misconduct or violations of constitutional or civil rights in those by those members of the gang unit. I just want to kind of just talk to you quickly about that.
Okay.
My understanding is you were in the gang unit several years ago. Is that
Yes.
correct? Do you remember what dates you were assigned to the gang unit?
I
Roughly.
believe I went over in August of 2019, and I remained there until I got promoted to the rank of sergeant in December of 2020.
You said December?
Yes, August of 2019 to December of 2020.
That was right. I had it right. So August 2019 to December 2020. Do you remember who all was in the gang unit at the time you were there? If you recall.
Yeah, let me try to run down the roster from what I remember. When I initially went over, Sergeant Henson was my supervisor.
Okay.
And then Matt Bolin, Isaiah Fields, Scott Williams, Troy Yorton, Ernest Wilford, Lim Johnson. Lim and I actually came over and transferred on the same day.
Okay.
That's 6, including myself is 7. There was 8 of us at the time. I'm trying to think of who the 8th person was.
Daigle there?
Bo didn't come till a little bit later. I'm trying to remember who the 8th person was when I got there, because Bo came a little bit after I did.
Okay.
There was one more. I just can't remember who the 8th person is right now, because I'm pretty sure there was 8 of us when I first.
Garriga?
He came later.
Okay. And then some of these time frames may have overlapped, so it could.
They did, yeah. So there were some vacancies that were that came up.
Okay.
There's one other, but I'm pretty sure there was 8, and I can't think of who the 8th person is.
Fields, Bolin, just trying to recall.
Or is that? Did I include myself in that? Those numbers I just gave you. Who do we have?
I've got a
Bolin,
roster.
Fields.
Let me go grab a roster.
Okay.
How about Barry? Chris Barry?
Chris Berry, but I think he also came a little bit. I don't remember if he was there before me or came a little bit after me.
Okay.
I want to say a little bit after.
Mills?
No, that was
No?
well after. That was toward the end that Mills was there.
And again, this is just kind of feeling out what time frame it was. I don't have that. I've got the
No,
text thread from there. How about Ripley?
He was after.
After.
I mean, not after. I mean, he was there while I was there, but only for a very short period of time, toward the end.
Okay. Well, that gives me enough to kind of start with. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get a list of
Sure.
when it was. So in your time in the gang unit, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear any actions that you felt the gang unit was possibly violating anybody's constitutional or civil rights? Did you ever have any actions where you felt that was happening?
No.
Do you feel that any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any order or unwritten rule to target any particular group of individuals based on anything other than their potential gang affiliations?
No.
Is there any other information you might be able to add to help me in my investigation as far as what the allegations have been, what I brought to your attention?
No.
Okay. That's all I need from you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Just come on in here, have a seat. Move here. Yes, Officer Williams. I assume you probably know what we do over here. It's we investigate criminal activity by officers and city employees. This is our main role. There's other stuff we do. That's the main thing people know about. I am conducting an investigation that has recently come about that kind of stems from the gang unit. My understanding was you were part of that at one point.
I was.
My questions will be in reference to that, basically. So, in recent weeks, there's been some articles that came out involving the gang unit. I don't know if you had a chance to see these or not, but basically some allegations were made. The main thing I'm concerned with is somewhere in the reports, the allegations made that there were violations of people's rights. That basically the gang unit's out there doing that. So my questions kind of come from that. Do you remember what time frames you were in the gang unit when it was? Roughly? In ballpark, I know it's hard to remember those sometimes.
Yeah, I was there for a little over 2 years.
2 years.
I'm trying to think back. I think right 2000 2021, 19 to 21, something like that.
1921-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, ballparkish, right?
Yeah.
I've got a list here of everybody I think was detectives in there, from what I can recall. Can you just put a check mark by everybody that you know was in the unit when either you were or you had a chance to work with them while you were there?
Okay.
That's the tricky one.
Isaiah, JJ, Ernest, Matt, Charles, Sylvia.
That's it. And then while you worked there, who was your supervisor?
I was underneath Robbie Henson,
Okay.
and then Doug.
Howell?
Yep.
All right. And while you were there, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear any kind of actions of any members of the gang unit that were violating a person's constitutional rights during the time you were there?
No, sir.
Do you feel that any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No, sir.
And was there ever any other kind of order or unwritten law or rule in there to target any particular group of people other than people that were potentially gang affiliated?
No, sir.
All right. Those are basically all the questions I have for you. Okay. Is there anything else about this part you can think of that would help me as far as?
No, in relation to that.
Oh, all right. That helps me out with my investigation. I appreciate you coming down.
No problem.
Excellent. You have a seat in the chair on the right, sir.
All right.
All right. Detective Rick. I'm currently assigned to the Integrity Unit. I'm not sure if you know what we do over here, but our role is to investigate criminal activity involving city employees and Sheriff's Office members. Having said that, there's a case I'm investigating that involves the gang unit as a whole. From my understanding, you're part of that unit, that's correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Kind of give you a quick overview of what I'm looking at. There's been some recent news articles that came out. Channel 4, I think Channel 12 put out some articles involving the gang unit. The concern I've got right now is in that article, there's some information basically saying that the gang unit has been targeting people and violating their rights. I'd like to ask you a few questions revolving around that.
Understand.
How long have you been in the gang unit?
2 years.
2 years. And then I've got a list here, probably the easiest way to do it is to do this. Can you do just a check mark by everybody that you've ever worked with in the unit that's been assigned there while you've been part of the unit?
Sure.
Is there anybody I'm missing as far as detectives go? What you can think of?
No, not all.
I think I got them all, but I didn't know if there was anybody. I could have missed one or two there. While you were there, who's been your supervisor? Have you had multiple or just one?
Sergeant? Been Sergeant Howell.
The whole time?
Yes.
Okay. So just to get into my questions real quick, since you've been assigned to the gang unit, have you ever witnessed, participated in, or heard any actions by any member of the gang unit that would have violated anybody's constitutional rights?
No.
Do you feel that any time while you're in that unit, you've ever been ordered to, directed to, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any order or kind of unwritten law in that unit that would have targeted a particular group of individuals based on anything other than their gang affiliation?
No.
Okay. And based on the information I've given you so far, is there anything else you can add to my investigation that might help me out?
No, sir.
All right. That's it, man.
All right.
Absolutely. Sorry to bug you for that. But short and sweet, right?
You're going to do your job. I understand that.
I appreciate you coming. All right, Detective Sullivan.
Yes, sir.
If you're familiar with what our role is, but kind of a quick summary is basically investigate cases involving criminal activity with city employees, particularly Sheriff's Office employees. I'm currently involved in an investigation involving the gang unit, which I understand you're a member of currently.
Yes, sir.
Just to give you kind of a rough summary of what I'm looking into, recently there's been several news articles that were put out involving the gang unit. I don't know if you're familiar with these or not, had a chance to see them or not. But my concern is in one of these articles there's some specific claims that the gang unit has been targeting and violating people's rights. So violating constitutional rights has been the issue. My investigation kind of focuses on that. So I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you specifically about that. So, how long have you been with the gang unit?
I got here in February of 21.
To present?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what I've done is I've got a list of detectives I think have been assigned there.
Okay.
If you would just check mark everybody that you've worked with, that's probably the easiest way to kind of cover who you've worked with in there. And obviously the current crew is the ones you're working with now.
Okay, so
good, Mark.
anytime since I've been
if they've ever worked with you at all in there, just check them. It kind of helps me understand who's been there.
I'll check myself.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else that's missing you can think of?
I don't believe so.
Okay. As far as supervision goes, who's your sergeant been?
Sergeant Howell.
Okay. Any other sergeants?
No, sir.
Okay. And then to kind of jump into my main concerns here. While you've been assigned to the gang unit, have you ever witnessed, participated in, or heard any actions by any members of the gang unit that would have violated anybody's constitutional rights?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you ever feel any time you're ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt would be unconstitutional?
No, sir.
Was there ever any order or kind of unwritten rule in the office to kind of target or go after any particular group of individuals based on anything other than this or gang affiliations?
No, sir.
Okay. Anything else in that in reference to this kind of information that you might have that would help me out?
No, sir.
All right, that's it, man. I appreciate you coming down. That
it.
answers my questions for now. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, you can just have a seat in that chair for a second. I don't have a motor helmet rack. All right. So I think you understand what we probably do over here is we investigate criminal actions by the city employees, particularly JSO employees. And in that breath, the case that's come to my attention I'm looking into recently, my understanding was you were in the gang unit at one point.
Correct.
There's an article that came out in the newspaper a few weeks ago about the gang unit, some stuff came out with that. The main focus for me is in that article, there's some mention that the gang unit was violating people's rights kind of on a regular basis. My question is going to kind of come from that, if that makes sense. Do you remember when you were in the gang unit, like time frame wise? How long?
Less than a year. I think I went in June of 21 and left in April of 22.
Okay. And then while you were there, do you remember who all was working with you? I've got a list here. Sure. Can you just check off everybody there that was members while you were there that you worked with?
Isaiah is on military leave, so he wasn't actually.
That's fine.
He wasn't in the office, kind of thing. And Trey came like the last month.
Okay. Perfect. And then who was the supervisor while you were there?
Sergeant Howell.
Only just him, nobody else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay.
And then I think it was Lieutenant Ramage when I started, and then Silcox.
Okay. While you were assigned to the gang unit, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear any actions of any members of the gang unit that you felt were violating anybody's constitutional rights?
No.
You feel any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any kind of an order or kind of unwritten law or rule that you would target any particular group of individuals based on anything other than being potential gang affiliation?
No.
That's all the questions I have for you. I appreciate it. All right, we're good. All right, you can go. Sorry about that. This pen, I don't know why I haven't sorted it out yet. What's your name, Detective
Griffin?
All right, so I work for the Integrity Unit, and I don't know if you know what we do over here, but our main role is to kind of investigate city employees, sheriff's office employees that are involved in criminal acts. And having said that, there's a case I'm working on. We've got wind of some information from a recent news article involving the gang unit. My understanding is you're part of that unit.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you a couple questions real quick about that.
Okay.
In particular, there's a couple articles that came out from Channel 4, Channel 12. I think they were aired, printed on the media. In these articles, it specifies that basically the gang unit's been violating people's rights, and that you guys would do that intentionally. Kind of want to revolve around that kind of questioning as well.
Okay.
So, how long have you been part of the gang unit?
Year and a half.
5 years. All right. And I've got a list here. It's probably the easiest way to do it, I think. Is I compiled a list of everybody I think who's been in the last few years assigned to the unit and who's currently there. Can you check everybody that you've worked with in there that's been assigned to the unit while you've been there?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Is there any other detectives that you worked with that weren't on the list that you can recall? No. Okay. And then while you were in there, who was the supervisor?
Sergeant Howell.
Any other sergeants?
No, sir.
Okay. So to get into my main questions here for you, while you've been assigned to the gang unit, have you ever witnessed, participated in, or heard of any actions of any members of the unit that would have violated anybody's constitutional rights?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you feel like any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there ever any order or kind of unwritten rule in the unit that would target a particular group or individual based on anything other than their gang affiliation?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that kind of summarizes my questions as far as what we're looking at here. I appreciate your time and coming down.
Okay.
That's it for now. I appreciate it. Come on in there. So you can go in and have a seat in that chair to the right. That's Detective Fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
F-I-E-L-D-S.
Always spell it wrong. Not sure if you're familiar with what we do, but our role is to investigate criminal activity by city employees, sheriff's office employees.
Yeah.
I've got a case that's crossed our radar that came from some news articles recently involving the gang unit, which I understand you're part of.
Yes.
Or assigned to it.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess technically I'm still part of the gang unit, just away on military.
Okay. So I don't know if you had a chance to see this or have heard about it, but there's been some recent news articles involving the gang unit that have come out.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So these have hit the news recently. Our main concern from the integrity side of it is, in the article, there's some mention that the gang unit has been out there targeting people and violating their constitutional rights.
Right.
That's concerning to us. We want to make sure we look into that. So
Sure.
that's what this is about.
Right.
How long have you been part of the gang unit, or do you remember when you went there? Or roughly, I mean, is it?
Yeah, I want to say. I mean, I can't remember. Maybe 16 or 17, because we were still over at 7-Eleven.
Okay. Do you remember who all was in the gang unit when you first got there? I've got a list.
Oh, here you go. Thank you.
That may help. I may have missed some, but if you could just put a little check mark by everybody you
Okay,
worked
so
with.
when I first came on?
Yeah, or just total. I just want to know who all you worked with total. If they're on there, you work with them, just put a check mark by it.
I've worked with them.
Probably everybody with you.
Yes, because me and Matt were like the one of the originals.
So you and Bolin were the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because also he was before me. Then when I came,
okay.
Then a lot of these other ones came on.
So it looked like it's all inclusive as far as.
Well, I don't know who Neater is. So,
okay.
Also, I'm gonna do ones that everybody.
Yeah, just check everybody you worked with before.
Kariga, Clem, Barry, Jordan, Williams,
Chris Smith.
That's the one. That's the little black guy there.
Mm-hmm.
Right
there. Some of these guys maybe new. I don't know if that's
Craig, also me.
Yeah.
I was with me.
Yeah.
JJ, Wilford, Bolin, Medlock, Cynthia, Ripley, Sullivan. Not McCullough.
Is there anybody you can think of that's on the list that would have been detective-wise that you worked with in there?
No, I think it's
okay.
I mean, there was a few SWAT guys, but when we were still over
before it was organized as a gang unit, I think, right? Is that?
No, we were because Robbie had us over. Robbie had us over at 7-Eleven as a gang unit.
Okay. So what sergeants did you work for?
Shoot. So the first one was.
Sorry.
No, I know. When I'm away from.
Right.
So
or give me your last two or three.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What's his face? He's out the academy now. Sergeant. He's been on the SWAT team.
Batris?
Yeah, Batris. Okay. Yeah, so Batris was the first, then Robbie
Henson.
Yeah, Robbie Henson, sorry.
Okay.
And Doug.
That's how.
Yeah, Doug.
Okay.
So I think
that's the main sergeants that've been there since it's kind of, and then you've been there since it sounded like organized into a bigger unit. Than
yeah, because when I was part of the whole SWAT team / gang unit, then Robbie came in.
Okay. So here's some questions that kind of go into what we just talked about a minute ago about the articles. So in your time in the gang unit, have you ever witnessed, participated in, or heard of any actions by any members of the gang unit that you felt would have violated anybody's constitutional rights?
No.
Do you ever feel any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
And then was there ever any kind of unwritten law or unwritten rule in the office that would have had you target or go after a particular group or individuals based on anything other than gang affiliation?
No.
All right, so that's the gist of what I wanted to ask you about there. So, in your opinion, there hasn't ever been any violation of rights that you've been part of or saw? Is what it boils down to.
Yeah, no. It's
that's all I needed from you. I appreciate you coming by for that.
Like I said, every time we went out, I'll just add to this. It was strictly they were gang members. We didn't go looking for anyone else because our mission was the gang.
That's the mission of the gang unit.
And it's sad to say, but the majority of the gang unit members in Jacksonville are minority. So.
Right. Okay. I'm not too worried about that part. I just want to make sure that the direction that we're going in was y'all were targeting people that were related to gang members. That was the goal, and that's what you did. You've never seen it deviate from that, from what you've seen. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No. Well, actually, I take that back. They might be.
Well,
they are
as of right now.
Well, no, I mean I think in the next week or two we should have somebody.
Good deal. Okay. All right.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's a little bit.
Not much.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm at the I am working an investigation. I just want to have a couple questions for you about some stuff that we're working on. You may have heard about it. There's some recent stuff that came out in the news about some stuff in the gang unit.
Yeah.
And some comments were made on here, basically, that there may have been some constitutional rights violations, stuff like that along the way. So I kind of want to just talk to you about that. My understanding is that you've been assigned a gang unit for a little bit, so I just have a couple quick questions for that. Are you still in there?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been in the gang unit?
Coming up on 3 years, January of 2020.
20. So everybody that's in there currently, is there anybody that's left since you've been there?
Yeah.
Probably a lot to remember everybody, I imagine, but.
Well, when I first came over, nobody is there anymore. When I first came over,
everybody's recycled over. Okay.
And but then Garriga came probably for, I can't remember, maybe April.
Mm-hmm.
He came over March or April.
Gotcha.
He's the only one left from the original group, or that came.
Do you remember who was there when you got there?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's probably a lot to recall off the top of your head.
Detective Hopley.
Okay.
Detective Bolin. And we actually had 10 because Chris Berry and I came over.
Okay, so you're after that because they had 5, I think, before.
Yeah.
You added several to it, so.
We came over as like a temporary basis, so it was like me, Barry, J.J. Bolin, Isaiah Fields, Ernest Wilford, Lynn Johnson, Sylvia Mitchell, Troy Orton, and Scott Williams.
Okay.
If that's 10.
That's about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 plus
me.
I got you on there. Was Medlock in there? As before you?
He had left before I came. Man, who on this?
There's a bunch. And I know it kind of changes. You were in there for, it's been almost a little over 2 years now? Or almost 3 years?
Yeah, coming up on 3.
So it's hard to remember. That's fine. I'm just trying to get a kind of a ballpark.
Okay.
Who was the sergeant when you got there?
Howell.
Okay, so Howell was the sergeant?
Yep.
So Henson had already left when you got there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's kind of giving me a basis on that part. My next question is, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear any actions of any members of the gang unit that would have violated anybody's constitutional rights while you were there?
No.
Okay. Do you feel that at any time while you were there, you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Okay. And then, was there ever like an unwritten rule or order in that unit to I guess, target any particular group or individuals based on anything other than just their gang affiliation?
No.
Okay, so that was the role, that was what you guys would do. So any action would be towards that mission. Is that fair to say that? Okay. All right, that's it. I just had a couple questions on that, and that kind of clarifies that part for me.
Okay.
And I appreciate you coming over for this.
No problem.
Short and sweet, so I appreciate it.
All right.
You're good.
Oh, okay.
See when that's up.
Okay.
All right. So Detective Bowen. I'm here about a case I'm investigating. It kind of revolves around the gang unit. I'm going to get you some information real quick. I have a couple questions for you. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but there's a recent article published from several news media outlets involving the gang unit. I don't know if you heard or saw that or anything.
I did.
In those articles, there's some mention, particularly about the gang unit possibly being involved with some constitutional rights violations, stuff like that. I just want to kind of just talk with you for a minute and kind of cover those. Basically, it says here that people have been violating people's rights. Gang unit mostly patrols black areas. This is per Mr. Varner. So, just to kind of cover real quick, my understanding is you're not in the gang unit any longer, correct?
No, I left in January of this year.
This year?
Yep.
So 122, and then how long were you there for?
Since about 7.5 years, since July of 14. Yeah, July of 14 to January 22.
My question was the times you were there, so 714 to 122.
Yes.
That's about 7.5 years. Ish. I was going to ask who else was in the gang unit with you at the time, but you were probably there for most of these people's time. Is this list, have you worked with all these people, or no?
Yes.
So everybody on this list you worked with at some point. So some of them came and went through other people's term in there. So
Right.
All right. So everybody on this list is there. I think there's 12 on there.
Yep.
Who was your sergeants while you were in the gang unit?
I started with Eckelberger. I had Henson, Howell. I'm trying to think if I had anybody else. I think that was it, unless I'm missing somebody.
Okay. There could have been somebody in between, but those are the ones you remember off the top of your head.
Yeah.
I think that covers the time frame I'm kind of looking at anyway. So, so while you were in the gang unit, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear of any actions of any members of the gang unit that violated any person's constitutional rights?
No.
Okay. Do you feel that any time you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any kind of order or unwritten rule to target any particular group of individuals based on anything other than potential gang affiliations?
No.
Okay. And if there were any of these questions were yeses, I assume there would be issues if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you can think of in relation to this portion of this investigation as far as the potential civil rights violations that you could have witnessed?
No. What I saw in the paper were the retweets.
Yeah.
From Sergeant Howell.
We're not really.
If there's
I'm not.
something-
I mean, I'm not even going to get into those right now. I think there's a
Yeah.
possible other investigation going with that part. So.
Yeah. So I don't know if I saw all the stuff, but no.
Okay. Yeah, because I won't get into that into too much detail. But my concern was this stuff here, and to make sure you witnessed or saw any kind of violations like that.
No, I did not.
Mostly with the citizens of Jacksonville. So. That's it, man. I appreciate your time.
Sure, no problem.
Turn this on. It's really hot. You would just go see that chair on the right. What was your name, Detective?
Nieder, Richard Nieder.
N-E-A-D-E-R?
N-E-A-D-E-R.
Right. All right. All right. So I don't know if you're familiar with what we do in this office. Basically, we investigate any kind of acts that would involve criminal activity by sheriff's office employees, or other things. In addition to that, that's one of our main roles. That's kind of what this revolves around here. My understanding is you're in the gang unit currently.
Yes, sir.
There's an investigation that's been started based on some information we've obtained. There's been some recent news articles and some stories that came out recently involving the gang unit. I'm not sure if you're aware of these or not.
Yes, sir.
You probably heard about it.
Yes, sir.
In these articles, there's a particular part of it that specifies that the gang unit has possibly been involved in conducting some violations of people's rights, basically. So my investigation revolves around trying to identify any information regarding that.
Okay.
So as far as the gang unit, how long have you been there? About. I know it's probably approximately.
It'll be 2 months and a couple days.
So fairly new there.
Yes, sir.
While you were in the gang unit, let's see, I think you're pretty much with the current crew, I'd imagine, right?
I will.
Is that? Can you check off everybody in there that you've worked with while you were there? Is there anybody missing that you can think of?
Other than Sergeant Howell.
Okay, so Sergeant Howell was your supervisor?
Yes.
Any other sergeants?
Nope.
Okay, that's it. I just want to make sure I caught everybody, because there could be one that slipped through the cracks on that part. So, list. Okay, so I've got a series of questions that I want to just address with you real quick.
Okay.
So in the gang unit, have you ever witnessed, participated in, or heard of any actions by any members of the gang unit that violate any person's constitutional rights while you've been there?
No.
Do you feel any time you've ever been ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Was there ever any order or kind of unwritten law in that unit to target any particular group of individuals based on anything other than potential gang affiliation?
No.
All right. Is there anything else you can think of that would help me in this investigation based on what I just told you that would be significant? Or is this pretty much covered?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. That's it, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming down. All right. Is it Detective Barry? Is that correct?
Yes.
So I think you're probably familiar with what our unit does. We investigate criminal acts involving city employees. I am working an investigation in reference to a case that kind of bleeds over to the gang unit. And my understanding was you were part of that at one point. The case is about there's a news release that was done a few weeks ago or a couple days ago about the gang unit that was leaked to the media through some text messages. I don't know if you saw this or not, or familiar with it or not, but this is kind of what sparked my investigation. In this information, there's some allegations made in the reports, specifically that the gang unit basically is violating people's rights. My concern is that that's going on. So I kind of want to touch base on some of that stuff. Do you remember roughly what dates you were assigned to the gang unit?
January was after the Monument Road shooting, so like January, I think the shooting was 15th, and I started that Friday. The shooting was on a Wednesday, and I started that Friday.
What year?
2020.
2020. So January 2020?
Yeah.
Till about when?
Beginning of June 2020.
6/2020. So you're there for about 6 months?
Yeah.
You're currently at what's your current assignment?
U.S. Marshals Task Force.
All right. Do you remember who I was in the gang unit when you were in there?
So when I was assigned there, it was Matt Bolin, Isaiah Fields, Troy Orton, Scott Williams, Lim Johnson, Ernest Wolford, Sylvia Mitchell, and I think that's it.
Who was your supervisors?
Doug Howe. And then when I started, Bo Daigle started with me.
Daigle, okay. So he was in there too. And so what, 8-man unit, 10-man unit? How many people were in there when you were in there? Do you remember? I know it's kind of changed over the years, I guess.
think there was 8 when me and Bo were assigned there to make 10. But when we were doing the 3 to 3 24/7 thing, I don't believe Sylvia did it with us.
Okay.
So it was.
So it just fluctuated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So in your time in the gang unit, did you ever witness, participate in, or hear any actions of any members of the gang unit that violated any person's constitutional rights?
No.
Okay. Do you feel at any time that you were ever ordered, directed, or pressured to take any kind of enforcement action that you felt was unconstitutional?
No.
Okay. And was there ever any order or kind of an unwritten rule to target any particular group of individuals based on anything other than their potential gang affiliation?
No.
All right. Is there anything else you can think of in reference to what I've asked you about that's important for me that you could add to the investigation?
No.
Okay. That's it, man. I appreciate it.